What do I learn at school?
I don't know.
The alphabet.
Gabriella Zaghari-Ratcliffe is now nearly 4, but hasn't lived with either of her parents for 2 years. Her mother, Nazanin, remains in an Iranian jail, in spite of a high-profile campaign to free her. Back here in Britain, her husband Richard says she's now so desperate she may go on hunger strike.
Very down. She's been struggling for a long time with, fairly uncontrollable stress and panic attacks in her sleep and difficulty sleeping, uncontrollable anger. Symptoms of stress. They have physical manifestations as well. Hopefully she'll be able to keep going.
And very difficult for her to be away from her daughter, of course.
Very difficult for her to be away from her daughter. I think probably the thing she'll resent most when all this is over is the fact that she's lost 2 years of watching her grow up.
Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe was arrested at Tehran airport in April 2016 after a holiday to visit family. She was taken to prison and initially held in solitary confinement. In September, she was found guilty of plotting to topple the regime and sentenced to 5 years in jail. An appeal in April last year was refused, and in November the Foreign Secretary told MPs she'd been in Iran to train journalists. He later apologised, retracting any suggestion she was there in a professional capacity. Richard Ratcliffe, who met Boris Johnson a few days later, is now frustrated by the lack of progress, but experts say efforts will be continuing behind the scenes.
I think the British government has to carry on as it has been doing, keeping on making the case and seeing whether there are any face-saving gestures which Britain could make that didn't compromise its policy of not trading directly for the lives of its citizens overseas.
Richard now wants the Prime Minister to intervene.
This is outrageous that this hasn't been solved. This is 2 years for a mum and a baby on holiday. We're getting clear messages from the Iranian authorities to say it's not something Nazanin's doing. It's not because of her bad behaviour in prison. It's not because of anything else. It's because the British government needs to do something. So, government, sort it.
Richard speaks to both Nazanin and Gabriella on the phone, but says 2 years on, they are still desperately waiting for their nightmare to be over. Layla Hayes, 5 News.